Okay, dude, this was so bad because I remember she was literally next to me and one thing led to another. She hands me a note and this note had lipstick on it and her number. And that's not even the worst part because this was my friend's mom. So think about it like this. My buddy's gaming right next to me and I'm getting a number that is my friend's mom, which is right next. And it's a lot to comprehend, but trust me, when I tell you guys this story, you're going to want to either puke or, raise a hand up and say that I'm the Rizzler. I don't know. I'm not really the #1 mogger out there in the world. Don't get me wrong. I do, kind of know what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, this story gets really intense. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also super embarrassing story that I don't think anyone should ever do. The story all starts off back when I was actually, funny enough, graduating my grade 12 year. So in my grade 12 year, this is like the most intense year where everyone starts to graduate, move on, and go on to bigger and better things. Now, when I say bigger and better things, I don't mean women, okay? You don't need bigger women. You don't need older women. But at the same time, for some reason, when you hit the age of 18 plus, you become into a bigger market. I know that sounds really creepy and really weird, and trust me, I understand that completely. But it's not like I'm putting these kids on an island, you know what I mean? Okay, wait, that's a really bad joke. Going on with the story. I remember one time after high school, me and my friends were all sitting in the school parking lot thinking about what to do. It was near our last days of school, and knowing that we were about to be free into the open world and not have to come back into prison again was really exciting for me and my friends. But I remember as we were all sitting around, my buddy Jake, we're just gonna call him Jake, ends up walking up to me. Yo, guys, I'm hosting a barbecue at my place if you guys are down. Yeah, sure. Who's gonna be there? Oh, it's just me and my family, but they said I could invite people, so why not make it more fun with all you guys showing up? This was a really nice gesture from our homie Jake, and honestly, he was always the one to always invite us to his place and stuff, and we thought it was a good idea. So I remember me and all my friends, we all ended up going to basically Jake's house that day, or at least planned to go to Jake's house that day. But one thing was for sure was that Jake's household was a very unique household. Why do I say that? Well, you gotta understand, Jake was rich, okay? He was like super rich to the point where he lived in a mega mansion. And not only just that, Jake was one of those guys where he had divorced parents, but they would stay with each other just to like keep the money in the family. I don't know. It was a really weird description of what he was trying to tell me. And to be honest with you, I even called Jake before this video to like kind of like get some input on like what his family was like back then. Cause obviously times changed now. Like I'm 24. I'm not 18 anymore. Yeah, that's the way he described it. So if that makes sense to you guys, then back to what I was saying. I remember when I got to my place, I ended up changing my clothes, wearing something a bit more nice. Cause since we were going to a mansion, I wanted to dress somewhat appropriately and nicer just so I could take some cool IG pics. By the way, follow my Instagram. I don't see why you guys don't do it. I love you guys. I always respond to message requests on there. It's a good idea. So follow me on IG. Finally, when I was ready, I ended up getting inside my car and I ended up driving over to Jake's place. When I got there, I ended up meeting up with all the guys, and when I knocked on the door, and that's when Miss Baker ends up opening the door. Now, Miss Baker was Jake's mom. By the way, these aren't real names I'm saying in this video, so don't go out searching and don't go out going to every Miss Baker saying, oh, we know what you did to Bubba. Because like I said, these are fake names for privacy reasons. I'm not trying to get sued out here. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I remember Miss Baker opens the door and she looks at me and she's like, oh my goodness, Bubba, is that you? Yeah. Hey, what's going on? Oh my goodness, you look so grown. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you graduate high school, is what I said to her, very awkwardly, not knowing what she meant by that. But then we end up walking through her house and she like, keeps talking to me, telling me little updates about the house and how her husband's doing and a bunch of little things that Jake was been up to in the household without us knowing at school. Which, by the way, if you're a mom watching this video, don't expose your kids to his friends. Like, it's kind of just awkward and weird. It's not really necessary. From there, I remember I ended up going to the backyard and I see all the guys. I hang out with them. We're all, enjoying a good time, drinking energy drinks. You guys see that? Energy drinks. If you know what that means, then you know what that means. But going on. And as we're enjoying these amazing energy drinks, one thing leads to another. I end up seeing Miss Baker starting to get really upset. Now, I wasn't really sure why, but you could just tell from her face that she was like super mad and super just not in the mood. I don't know why. To this day, I still don't. But for some reason, Miss Baker and Mr. Baker ended up going inside and actually started arguing in their bedroom. Now, the sucky part was that Miss Baker's room was like literally like facing the backyard. So we could see them full on arguing. To the point where she ends up yelling, I don't just want this anymore. I'm so done with you. And she ends up slamming the door on Mr. Baker. At that point, she comes downstairs and she hangs out with all the guys and us. And, we tried to like not make it awkward. So we pretend that we didn't hear anything, even though we heard literally basically everything. Don't really want to talk about that because it's none of my business. It's only my business what Miss Baker did to me, which we're going to get to in a sec here. And as me and all the guys were just talking, we started talking about sports. And that's when we knew a hockey game was coming on. By the way, if you guys are wondering why I'm saying hockey game, was because because I'm Canadian. I enjoy hockey and I watch hockey. By the way, America versus Canada is coming up. Let's go Canada. But back to what I was saying. When we started talking about hockey, I remember one of my homies ended up looking on his phone and he ends up saying, yo guys, the hockey game's on. Yo Jake, can we go inside your house and watch it? Yeah, dude, that's a great idea. Let's go inside, is what Jake says. And as for me, I was about to go inside with them as well before Miss Baker actually pulls me aside and says, Baba, are you gonna go outside? I was hoping we could talk. Yeah, we can talk. Sure, I don't mind. Which was the biggest mistake ever. I didn't know why Miss Baker pulled me aside to want to talk to me specifically, but I thought it was something personal about Jake, so I decided to stay and, you know, keep seeing what was going on. Me and Miss Baker, we end up sitting down on these lawn chairs, and we end up drinking more energy drinks together. You catch my drift. And as we're drinking these energy drinks, she ends up looking at me and she starts complaining about her husband to me. Now, I'm gonna say this real quick, okay? I'm gonna quickly just make sure you guys understand a little bit more about Miss Baker. Miss Baker was a super hot MILF. I'm not gonna lie. Jake, if you're watching this video, you know who you are. You're not actually named Jake, but you know who you are. Your mom's a hot MILF. I'm gonna be so honest with you here. Like, she is super attractive. So knowing this, Miss Baker, she kept like kind of like talking to me, complaining about her husband, and me, I didn't really want to say anything because that's basically Jake's dad and I didn't want to say anything wrong. So all I said was, honestly, I just hope you are happy and, you know, you do what you can to stay happy. At that moment, for some reason, I end up looking at Miss Baker's eyes and her eyes opened wide, like really wide, to the point where she ended up seeming like she had a great idea. Now, I didn't know what this idea was, but at some moment, one of my homies that was inside Jake's house watching the Canadian hockey game, he ends up coming out and saying, yo, Bubba, get over here real quick. So at that moment, I stand up and I start heading over to the living room. When I get there, I'm sitting next to Jake and me and Jake are just like talking about the hockey game. And Miss Baker, she comes into the house kind of like stumbling and she hands me over a note. Now, this note, I didn't really know what it was. It was just a crumbled piece of paper. So I thought she was just handing me garbage at first. But then I started to really like kind of slowly open the note just as I was like fidgeting with it. And I noticed that there was lipstick on it. At that moment, I was like, oh shoot. So I get up and I quickly go over to the bathroom. I don't know if the bathroom was the safest place to go, but I mean, hey, you know, it was the most privacy in the house, even though he lived in a mega mansion. Knowing that no one's gonna interrupt me in the bathroom, I thought it was a good idea. So as I'm in the bathroom, I start fully unopening this note and I see Miss Baker gave me a note that says, here's my number, cutie. And she puts down her number with a kiss of red lipstick on there. Now at this moment, I didn't know to either throw up or be flattered. Like, I'm gonna be so honest. I've known Miss Baker for so many years, and the fact that she gave me her number and gave it an intent to flirt with me made it really awkward. Now at this moment, I want to ask you guys in the comments, would you guys add her number, or would you guys just tell Jake and say, yo, your mom's flirting with me, she's hot but she's weird? Comment down below, what would you guys do? Would you guys tell Jake or would you guys not? Everyone chooses something different, but for me, I didn't choose neither. I didn't choose to either tell Jake or I didn't even put the number in. At this moment, I ended up just, you know, ignoring it totally, putting the note in the garbage can, and I left. I went back to the living room and I sat down and I made some excuse that I had to go home because things were getting late, even though it was only like 8 p.m. And from there, I got up, I got inside my car and I started driving home. As I was driving home, I remember I ended up getting a text message and I didn't want to look at my phone because I don't text while I drive. I think it's really unsafe to do that. So as I'm like, you know, parking my car in front of my house, I end up opening my phone and I end up realizing it's from an unknown number. Now I didn't recognize the number that was on my phone, so I'm like, okay, who is this? And that's when I opened it up, and when I looked at the message, I saw it was a kissing emoji saying, I miss you already, which means that the person that texted me was the only person that gave me lipstick in the first place, and that was Jake's mom. When I noticed Jake's mom texted me, I was like, oh, hi, Miss Baker. Oh, please call me Lizzy. Her name wasn't actually Lizzy. I'm making that up as well, but you guys kind of get the drill. At that moment, I texted her back saying, oh, hi, Lizzy. Is everything okay with Jake? Oh, you're so funny. You sound like Jake's dad. No, he's okay. I was just wondering, how are you? Oh, I'm good. I'm just, you know, I'm at home. Yeah, Jake told me I had to leave early. Is everything all right? Do you need me to pick you up or something? No, I drive now and I'm in my car. I'm good. Okay. Wow. You're so mature for your age. I hope to see you soon. At that moment, I didn't end up texting her back because I didn't really know what to do or say. From there, I ended up basically like, you know, going back inside my house and thinking, wow, Jake's mom really ended up actually flirting with me. Now, at this point, I really don't want to say anything more because nothing really else happened after that day. But 1 week later, when I ended up going back to the Baker residence, let's just say things got really sus. But we'll just end it from there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. God bless. Peace.